Welcome to Second Take, the show that focuses on the issues behind the news. Mining Weekly editor Martin Creamer joins me today to unpack the latest in the mining industry. Hi Martin.
Hi Chanel.
Nedbank clients are planning to close a strong pipeline of renewable projects this year. Tell us about that.
I was very happy to hear that Nedbank CIB's Anel Bosman gave us a long interview on the whole attitude of Nedbank CIB to climate change and how they are mitigating it and how long they've been in this. You know, they've already invested something like 33 billion rand, in the major big renewable projects, and then they've got 75 smaller projects worth R1 billion, and they say those smaller projects below 1 megawatt are very, very important because there's a lot of corporates and industries just covering themselves so that there's no problem with load shedding. They are very much involved in a now strong pipeline, which they say will be above the 1 megawatt position. And those will come through, they say, in 2022, working closely with their clients. And I see Standard Bank have just issued their statement today of how they're going to deal with oil and gas and climate change mitigation, but they've given themselves a longer time. Nedbank CIB, with that green colour of theirs, they've been green for a long time. In fact, they've given us a lot of insight. I was often told to be at certain conferences in Cape Town when I had very little exposure to particularly the hydrogen economy. And they would always say, it would be important for you to be there. And they've given us quite a good background because they are also now very excited about the potential that the hydrogen economy presents, green hydrogen. And although they haven't got any projects funded, they are looking to working with partners in that area at the moment.
To get exploration going again, South Africans must be afforded full mining license transparency. Talk to us about that.
Transparency is everything. And we see that, this announcement of the new exploration strategy, the 5-year strategy, $900 million, that's an important announcement we've been waiting for a long time. But it comes against the background of not having transparency in there, which I think is absolutely crucial. We need that cadastre, and surely that cadastre is establishable because, they produce it down in Cape Town. It was established there in Mozambique and in all the African countries for some time, and yet we haven't got a cadastre yet. That cadastre is extremely important. People need to be able to sit at their desktop and see what's available, particularly now with critical metals coming up, people wanting to get involved in mining, all the projections showing there's going to be a shortage of these critical metals. There would be an appetite now for exploration, and hopefully we don't lose out on that because we're very slow on this. Even the strategy document release, I think it could have been done with more verve. What will come next is very important, and I think interesting developments at DMRE. It looks like they're going to get a new DG there. What is going to happen? What is the attitude going to be? Again, delays, which never do our economy any good, and also they've got to realize that without exploration, the mining industry will shrink and pass away. They've got to do something, and that transparency means everything. People have got to know who's got what. You've got to be able to see there is a potential exploration in a certain area. You've got to be able to see who is showing interest in it, how long they're going to have that right for, when you might enter that arena if they are no longer interested. And we just don't have that in this country, and you have it in all the other jurisdictions where mining takes place, and we are a mining jurisdiction that's fallen terribly behind.
Lastly, talk to us about how Treasury needs to urgently incentivize mining exploration.
That's another thing. When you go into these other mining jurisdictions, and the ones that are really doing well, Canada and Australia, you find that there is a incentivization for retail investors to actually get involved in listed exploration companies, even if they're exploring in Africa. You find people in Canada, they retail, small taxi drivers, everybody, looking to what they can invest in because they get a tax break at the end of the financial year. And everybody knows that exploration is a tough game. It's a hit and miss. But if you can incentivize retail investors who are keen to do it because they know they're going to get some tax break, you actually surmount that big obstacle. of the early stage exploration. And Treasury promised this. Trevor Manuel, many years ago, said we're going to have the flow-through scheme. The following year, he said, we're not going to have the flow-through scheme because we're going to have something much better. And then that June, they gazetted a document. And, some people spent the whole night just studying this thing, not even going to bed. And when I approached them the next morning, they said, this is the stingiest document they've ever seen in their lives. And, not one mining company has taken it up, but you get these small finance boutiques that have taken it up. So it was obviously, misdesigned. And it's still around. And if you ask Treasury now, they say, well, look at these people who took it up. And you see they got nothing to do with mining. Again, we note from Treasury that they tend to play down mining. Even though mining gave them this fantastic windfall of 120 billion rand that they didn't expect during this tough period now. They play it down. And when I listened to one of the spokespersons on TV, he was saying, no, don't worry about the mining. It's us. We did it. Our team. And you hear all sorts of strange noises coming out of there that they don't seem to acknowledge that this was their saving grace. If they don't do that, they're probably not going to want to incentivize. Now, when we get through to a CISA, which takes its direction from Treasury, and they're sitting on 7 trillion rand worth of savings, our savings in our provident funds, they've got such strict rules that they can't go into these smaller companies. In fact, they've got to go into something like 30 billion rands worth. That's what they're restricted to. So you'll never get this exploration going. I see the JSE's just launched something very interesting where you can have private funding through the JSE. That could be the answer, because people are saying maybe private equity is the way in. And each of these 16 or 17 or 18 big companies like Old Mutual, Momentum, that are part of a CISA, they also have private equity units. And maybe this is the way to do it in the South African style. But something's got to be done. And I think there still needs to be some sort of incentivization down there to get the retail investor in. You can see institutional investors too scared to go into these things, even though, many of them that have been listed, they don't make those 10% a year like we've seen for, the institutional investors going to these big companies. They might get 10%. I've seen them go in and they make 400%. But nobody's allowed to go into them because of the rules. And I think they've got to change, because I hear that they even want to make the rules stricter and have fewer members, So what would happen to the mining industry, which has saved us during this time? I think they've got to be realistic and not sort of say, we've done this, we've brought in, we really the ones that should be credited on this. It's us. Nonsense. Without this massive windfall from mining, they would have been on a hiding to nothing. So hopefully Treasury, as a matter of urgency, because you can't see these mining companies shrinking all the time, and the attitude of the mining companies looking out of the country. We see other countries doing so well, progressing at the moment, we're not. And it's, I think, sort of an attitude that Treasury's had for a long time to mining. They need to change that.
Thanks for chatting to us, Martin.
It's a great pleasure, Chanel.
That's it for today. Join us again next week for more news analysis on the local and global mining industries. Don't forget to listen to the audio version of our Mining Weekly daily email newsletter.